girl could wish for, but still something was missing. What? I didn't know. That's when I saw him. So smooth, so carefree. He was real, I thought. He could make me real. When I saw you, when you were cruising in your car, well, I was down, I was lost and insecure. It's magical he found me, summer breeze bringing a change of fate. He came by to ask me for a ride with him. Reality reminds me it could just be another drag. Miracles don't happen every day, you see. My days were changing. Excitements I didn't expect. I never knew riding with you could bring so much wonder. Everything a surprise. Your beautiful machine never slows, never stops. This was real, I knew. My life was turning real. You have no clue how long I've waited for this time. Life was a bore till you pulled me out of bed. Mysterious as we ride, I foresee we will never stop till we get to somewhere unexplored someday. It's destiny that we met. It's a thrill I was looking for. No one else could lighten up my heart this way. Delirious, hypnotic, drips and curves on the tricks for me. Driving shows me wonders never seen before. So endlessly scenes move on. City lights shift to starry skies. Sandy beach and forest. I can't wait for more. When I saw you, when you were cruising in your car, well, I was down, I was lost and insecure. It's magical you found me, summer breeze bringing a change of fate. You came by to ask me for a ride with you. It's destiny that we met. It's a thrill I was looking for. No one else could lighten up my heart this way.
Hi. Hello. Why does everything sound weird? I think it's... Hold on. Okay. Interesting. Hi, Grace. The face is back. The face is back. The animation is better. There's a little birdie outside my window making cute chirping sounds. But I can't hear it because I gotta listen to the Racing Lagoon soundtrack. Feels good to be back. Like I can do things like this. I can go like this. You know, I suppose you could make a PNG tube rig that can do all of that, but that takes work and effort, and this does not. What day is today? If I hit the next YouTube milestone, frame that certificate. That one? But that one's from 2025. The new one. This is... Hold on. This is just something someone on Blue Sky gave me. It has no actual meaning, and in that is actually much more meaningful than anything I would get from YouTube. I might frame it, who knows? I could frame everything. You may have noticed the Chibi Robo poster. There he is. The Chibi Robo poster fell. The little poster putty couldn't hold on to Chibi Robo anymore. Chibi Robo has fallen. Repeat, Chibi Robo has fallen. And I haven't had the time or interest to put him back. So today, this very morning, I recorded something for a new video. I filmed something for a new video. And I'm not gonna tell you what it is. Hey, Beans! Thank you, Beans.
Gratitude. Beans has donated your 20.00 to the BOBSTREAM. Happy not birthday.
Thank you. It is true that it's not my birthday. How did you know?
Toot toot fart lol prffft. This toot is brought to you by our favorite crawfish.
I haven't seen Crawfish in a while, but I haven't been around in a while. I have had very little time to watch other streams. I was actually in Ged's stream a little bit today while I was editing, instead of working, which I should have been doing. That's okay, the $20 will cover for it. He was playing Mon Bazoo, which is what I would call an Alien Bob-like. That's what I call those kinds of games now. And just looking at all the things that I don't want in my game. But I hope everyone has been well. I have spent the majority of this weekend furiously... Look. This is it. It's the official book. This will be on eBay someday for, like, going for a high price. I have been furiously sketching notes. As you can see, I even used a highlighter. This is everything from just this weekend. It keeps going, and it's been feeling very like it's happening, you know. Like I close my eyes sometimes and I can see the trailer. Now I won't be in a state where I could make a trailer for like 2 years at least, even if I got to work on this full time or whatever. But like I'm feeling like a momentum, and I don't know if I'm gonna keep feeling this. But I'm gonna ride it while it's here. I think a lot of the YouTube success, and by the YouTube success, I don't mean the numbers. I mean the fact that I can consistently create these things that I'm proud of. That has made me feel very confident about my ability to make this, or at least start work on it, and even if it gets to a point where I say, no, this is too much, I can't do it, then at least I will have reached that point, you know? So I'm excited about that. Today, what I want to do... Just go with the flow. Yeah, well, the thing is, I can't. I can't go with the flow because the flow in my head is extremely dysregulated. And they won't give me the medication that might regulate it more. No, they have tried to give me the medication. It just doesn't work on me because I'm built different. So what I have learned to do for the YouTube is become a lot more organized and put all my thoughts down. And, you know, it's still chaotic organization, but it makes sense for me and it works for me. And it helps me stay on track and not stick to deadlines, but have deadlines. If I had these abilities when I was in my 20s, I mean, I got a master's degree without these abilities, so who knows? Who knows what I could have achieved? But I didn't. It took me a while. And now I'm here. You know. I thought your real name was Beans. Beans. That's what it says here. So my plan for today is I'm not gonna be too strict today. What I'm gonna do, like, I still gonna want to chill and vibe a little bit. But last Tuesday, I played around with Cogito, which is like a immersive sim template for Godot. And I discovered some things, and you know, I'm kind of doing something that I suppose would be called silly and stupid, which is I'm just gonna look through code and try to guess. You know how like I'm gonna try to understand Spanish, and then claim that I can understand Spanish because I can listen to it or I can read it, but not be able to speak Spanish. So I know what my skills are. I know what I'm good at right now. I know that I still have an endless amount of things to learn for this game. But at this point in time, I'm playing around with stuff and I want to get to a basic prototype. I'm going to be taking a lot because Godot is open source and it has this big open source community of people who share code snippets and things like that. And I'm sure for a product that gets more to final, I'm gonna need to have a much deeper understanding. I'm gonna need to be able to create stuff on my own to make it work. But for my basis, for my foundation, I'm just gonna steal shit. Stealing, not actually stealing because it's like open source and freely given out, but I have two character controllers that I want to take a look at. One of them, I like the way it's coded because it's written in a way that makes sense to me, and that helps me understand what is going on. But the other one has some features that I like. So I think what I'm gonna do, at least for this stream, is to play around with it. I have, if you read my latest Patreon post, you have some sense of this. But I have, I'm not a software developer. I don't know anything about software development practices, let's say, and I never will. If this game is a huge success and it makes me a millionaire, I will never know about software development practices because there's no room in my head for that. I'm an artist. I do what I want. But I do need some kind of planning, and I do need what is the terrain plugin called? I do need to have an idea in my head because I'm old enough now. So old. I'm old enough now to know that big projects take big planning, even if it's your own kind of planning. So I have set up a rudimentary list in my book, the Big Book of Bob. I've set up a rudimentary list of prototypes and goals that I want to achieve. Up all the way up to and again, this is one page, so it's not like super detailed. That's a little page and a half. But for my basic very first prototype, what I want is a character controller that has basic movement and interaction. And interaction meaning you can push a button or maybe pick up an item. Hi, Sally. Hi, Sally. How are you doing today? Today, for some reason, I was imagining you sitting on your balcony, just chilling. So I want to have a basic character controller with movement and interaction. Interaction meaning you can click on a thing. Just sitting down for dinner. Lovely. I want to have a test environment. And the test environment is just, you know, gray box, a plane, some cubes, messing with scale a little bit, and maybe some hilly areas because there will be driving. Because the other thing that I want for the prototype 1 is a basic vehicle, and by basic vehicle I literally mean a platform with wheels, and you can kind of click on it. You can enter the vehicle and start driving it, and that is like the big thing that I want to figure out. Because okay, the character controller, most of it I'm just gonna steal, and interacting with items or whatever is still a very kind of basic thing, but first person getting into a car and then driving the car and doing that in the way that I want to do that is something a little more complex and will need to be customized to how I want to do it. So that's different. And maybe the car will have a steering wheel and you'll be able to steer and the wheels will turn. Just basic shit. And from that, I can then build, you know, like Prototype 2, inventory, a very basic gray box version of the map, and a more interactive version of the vehicle. Because what I have in mind, the doors work, the hood latch works, the dials will work, all the buttons on the dash can be pressed, you know, that kind of stuff. And then Prototype 3 will be more like, okay, this is actually starting to build something. There will be all the life sim management stuff. The map will have textures. They probably won't be the final textures, but there will be color. There will be a sky, maybe the ocean. And the car will be better. And then there's so much more stuff to add because there will be NPCs and items and story and... I don't even know what the graphical style is going to be. That's something I'm going to come up with later because I'm working with the limitations of what I have access to. Meaning in here. Proper game devs literally just use cubes and stuff for base level. Yeah, you have to because otherwise it takes too long. Okay. Beans, you were asking about the terrain thing that I have. So, where is it? Not entering. Terrain 3D. Terrain 3D is the one. Source? Did I have something myself? Demo. Terrain 3D is a pretty elaborate plugin for Godot that allows you to build and create pretty detailed 3D terrains. There is another one. There are two other ones that are interesting if you're into this doing terrain in Godot. One of them is called TerraBrush. TerraBrush, I've seen a lot of videos about it, and it has very nice sculpting tools, but I don't know if it scales. Because what I want is quite large areas, but also the way the game works is I'm going to have these playable zones on Aruba, but there will be parts where maybe you'll be standing on a hill or somewhere else and you can see the rest of the island. Because there's a lot of these places where Aruba is small enough where you can see the whole island from a lot of spots. So I want to have the terrain have that seamless too, instead of having to come up with some kind of skybox scenario. So there'll be two kind of like scales of terrain in one terrain, right? There'll be the detailed scale of whatever is the area that you're in, that is the playable zone. And then there'll be the more like maquette style skybox-ish, less detailed, far off version of the island that'll have like you'll still see little houses and details, and buildings and stuff. And then there's also another one called M Terrain. Do I have it in here too? I do, but I don't know if I have like a thingy. M Terrain. I don't know if there's a demo. M Terrain also looks very interesting, but it feels to me a little bit unfinished. I think Terrain 3D is built and being built by a group of people, and M Terrain is a personal project by somebody. And you know, that's cool, and it has some really hardcore shit in it that looks really cool. But especially when it comes to Godot, when it comes to these like personal projects, I don't feel comfortable basing my a game on that, you know, like that seems like for somebody who's maybe more in the know, who understands terrain generation better and wants a base and then can build on that themselves or something like that. But so the idea for this stream is to not play with any of this. I played with the water shader a bit. Can we open that? Quit the project list. We played with the water shader a bit, which was broken and I had to fix. There he goes. It looks fantastic, as you can see. It really does. But it will need work. Again, the thing is, I've also put up a list of like, what will I need to learn to make this the game that I want? And one of the things that I will need to learn, and I will learn on stream at some point, is shaders. I want to understand how it works. Because I can't, even if I knew how shaders worked, I can't build this. Because this is using some funky math that was like made for movies and shit, right? To make the water realistic. It's using all these complex functions to make the wave simulation and whatever. But somebody's already done this, right? Multiple people have done this. What I want is how can I program this so that when it reaches the shore, the waves get smaller and the color changes and there's foam on the edges, you know? Because this right now doesn't look like proper shoreline wave interaction. And I don't need it to be perfect, and I probably don't need any physics. I mean, I might at some point if I add a boat or something. But the cool thing is, I see this water, and I'm standing in the location in my head where I'm building this game. So like that it's based on Aruba, and I'm like, this is the water. I just need a cliff, and and then on the cliff side, can I make this a cliff? Terrain 3D. Where are the terrain? Here. I wonder. Shader editor. Meshes. Textures. Where's the brushes? Oh, that's this. Oops, I deleted something. Right. Okay, well this is a little too high. The shader is separate. The shader is a separate thing that I just found on GitHub. You know, you look for a terrain shader or whatever. Anyway, what I was trying to say is, like, when you're standing on the little cliff side, and these waves are, like, hitting it, there's a lot of spray. I can fake that, no problem, you know? That's easy to face. Easy to fake. It's just the shoreline interaction where there's beachier parts, because, let's go to Aruba real quick. Yeah, the grass shader is a part of this, but also the terrain plugin is common enough that there's a lot of other plugins and shaders that work well with it. You know, when you're standing here on the edge, hey Juge, you see how this water is dark and choppy. You see here how, you know, so I can fake that. That I'm cool with. It's just that when you look at here and here, you see you have these little narrow inlets and whatever that are a little bit more beachy. And especially here, well, the natural bridge here is collapsed, obviously. But if I go back in time to 2004, you'll see it's still there, and there's a beach down there. I don't think you can really swim there, but there's a beach down there, and you'll be able to go down there, and tourists will probably go down there, and I need that to look good. But that's not at all what we're doing today. Also, that's not what I wanted to open today. What we're doing today is with the project list. Here, testbed. Demo. This is not the one I wanted. I think we can start a new project. That's what we can do. We can create project. Go to the proper folder. They pay for those height maps? Nope. No. I don't have any. I haven't found proper height maps. There are. This is Google Earth, right? I have looked for height maps, but the scale that I found is not sufficient. The scale is like this is like a pixel. And the height difference between like the sea here and like the tops of these hills is like not even 100 meters. So I haven't found anything yet that I could potentially use as a height map. I'm almost likely, very likely going to have to draw this myself. I have found a source for paid high-resolution satellite imagery that is up to date, that I might consider using. Select current folder. Call it prototype 1. Okay, so what we'll need to get is one second. I need to open the document. I have like a list of so many plugins. CSG Toolkit. I tried Cyclops Level Builder, didn't work. There's actually Godot first-person controller, and there was another one. So let's go to the asset library. And sneeze. Oh, almost missed it. CSG Toolkit. Terrain 3D. Okay. And first person controller. So there was what is this one? Advanced state machine. Let's just keep that one. What was it called? Actually good? Actually quality. Quality good over first person. I guess V2, yes. Okay, and is there anything else? Throwing 3D. I think that's demo. It just opens a big world. But I suppose we could just use this for the time being. I don't need a player. Player can go. Ask for the player anywhere? No, so it's just the sky? Oh, yeah, here, UI player is player. We can get rid of this. I just need the environment, right? The terrain 3D is okay, and we can get the first person controller, open that as a scene. I believe we can just do this. I hope nothing crashes. Okay. So, that's not great. You know, I think Terrain 3D might be a little much for right now. Let's just create a new scene entirely. Get a little bit of a folder setup going. Environment. CSG Toolkit. Demo. This might be overkill for what I need, actually. Arts. Thought you had a demo. Didn't you come with a demo player character? Didn't you come with a demo terrain? Map. Right. I mean, we can just use this, right? This is the one that comes with the Player character. I forgot what it's called. Let's just try to run it real quick. Right. This is walk, this is run, it has double jump, it has everything. What I like about this one, it has like this little tilt when you strafe. Not that this is a game where you'll be strafing a lot. But I kind of like that it has that. It makes it feel nice and juicy to me. There's a slide? Oh, okay. What's this? Jump thing. Also a jump thing. I won't need those. Ice. Having different surface materials might be useful to me. What I would like is, on a slope like this, I want movement speed to really be dropped down, you know? Same here. Like here, it happens a little bit. Like, it happens a little bit, but I don't know. Well, where is this player character here? And the player character has the camera in it. Yeah. So if I delete you, if I remove you, are you? If I remove your visibility, are you still there? You're still there. So that's not how that works. Cause what if I throw you in there? Right, character. If I delete player character, and then I have the other character instead. They're built in a similar ways, I know, but they're not exactly the same. So you're extremely slow, and you're not using WASD. But what I want to do basically is gut it, remove all the things I don't want, and at least make room for the things I want. So like interaction, right click to zoom, you know, that kind of stuff, basic stuff. So you have, okay, you have a base speed, you have a sprint speed, you have a crouch speed. Do I need crouching? This is a question that I need for this game. I've questioned if I needed jumping. But also, do I need crouching? I don't know. Base 17. Character. Because I'm taking these notes and I'm like actually taking it seriously, I've been trying, not succeeding, but trying to write a little more legibly because my handwriting is pretty disastrous. Character, controller, stream. Do I need crouching? Because like in a regular like shooter first person game, what is the function of crouching usually? To get under certain obstacles, to hide behind cover, to shoot more accurately, to walk slower. Even in Minecraft, it also helps with like not falling off of edges, right? That makes me wonder, you know, like I'm building for PC first. I'm building for keyboard and mouse first. So assuming I have no form of analog control for movement, do I want crouching, or do I want maybe like you have a regular walk speed, you have a very slow, deliberate walk speed that also prevents you from falling off of edges, although how would I code that? I don't know. And you have a run speed. Not really a sprint, but so here's the thing. In most games, in most first-person games, forward is run, not walk. It's run, and then you press shift to sprint, right? I don't want that. I want you to be walking most of the time. Energy is going to matter. Scale and distance is going to matter. It's like, do I want crouching? But should I bother with a slower walking speed? What function would a slower walking speed have? Other than the Minecraft, like not falling over edges, I feel like a slower walking speed would only be necessary if if the main walking speed is still too fast for certain things, for like kind of precision platforming. There's not going to be any precision platforming here. So, I don't need crouching, I think. And I'm not sure about jumping either. The proper RP folk like slow walking for some reason. Yeah, but that you're already gonna get walking kind of normally. The other one has clambering, I think. Dash, wall run. Oh my god, wall jump, fly, gravity. That's why this was the advanced one, right? Maybe I should just get the basic one, the simple one. Because that one doesn't have all that shit. I don't need that. I am curious about certain is that in the same one? Just put it in the same thing. Oh, this still has wall run and all that stuff. Yeah, I may have screwed up here. I lost my train of thought. Like, okay, like I don't want wall run and whatever, but I do want. See, this is the tricky thing. This is the tricky thing. I know my own limitations. I know some of my own limitations. And there is like an ultimate version of this game that exists that has like an extremely complex character controller with all kinds of special features and abilities and tweaks and a certain feel that is wholly unique. But I think any reasonable version of this game that could exist with my current capacities and my current resources and ability to learn will just be like relatively basic and remove some things, tweak some settings, tweak the max speed variable, you know, and add the things that I want to add. That's it. I'm not going to be able to develop a extremely complex character controller of my own. Nor should I be like, oh well, this has sliding and dashing, and maybe I can take some of that, and that's not gonna work. So I need to delete these. Is there like a way to remove them? No, it's just delete the add-on, right? Delete that. Delete that. Go to asset lib, simple state machine, first person controller download. I think the main thing that I need to figure out is the main thing that I need to figure out is which of these two character controllers am I going to take as a base? And why? If I can figure that out in this stream, then I will have succeeded. And maybe it'll be a mistake, and maybe, you know, I should have picked something else, but I think we can make it work. So this is the simple one. And the simple one has fly, wall jump. It does have wall jump. It does have wall. Okay, it does have all these variables. Does it? Close all. Cancel. Close. Discard. My usual way, by doing things differently, I may have screwed things up or whatever. This is double jump. This doesn't have wall run, and it doesn't have a dash, and it doesn't even have a crouch. Yes, it does. It's C. Does this have the climb? Which one had the climb? Like, I have to think about it too. I have to think about how a player will use this, right? If this were a Doom-like Twitch boomer shooter, the player would be strafing all the time, constantly, around enemies and whatever. If this is a slow, methodical, you know, walking simulator style exploration game, there's not going to be like this twitchy feel. Yeah, my summer car without the crude humor and the punishing kind of permadeath style gameplay. Not that there won't be consequences, but it won't be as like extreme. Like, you can die, but the punishment isn't now you have to walk for an hour or you lose your file. The punishment is time passes and you lose resources or something. You know what I mean? Velocity vector. Yeah. Okay, so I still don't know if this is the correct file, if I'll be perfectly honest. Movement variables. Crouch, walk, run, jump. Yeah, this is the one. This can close. And then if I open the script for the other one, character body 3D. Character body. Both extend character body 3D. Can I move to another tab? Yeah, I just need to open this scene. They both extend character body 3D. The thing is, while I'm doing this, I'm also learning Godot. And I've played around with Godot on a very rudimentary, very surface level for years. But I've never made anything that could be considered anything. So, I'm also doing that. I'm also, you know, it's the same thing with like my coding skills. It's like, I know enough to be dangerous. But I don't know enough to actually understand what I'm doing, and I don't know enough to write on my own. And of course, there will be no involvement of any kind of generative AI in this game. So they both extend character body 3D. Right? They both export movement variables. You have the move speed. You have the speeds here. Let me just go through this. You have move speed, you have acceleration, and you have deceleration, which are separate. You have input direction, you have move direction, you have desired move speed. Your desired move speed curve. So curve is cool. Curves in Godot are very powerful. Max desired move speed is 30. But that's not like... If I recall... If we go to the map, it has a nice debug thing. My max move speed is 9. All right. So, oh, that's the walk variable. That's the walk speed. I'm just curious as to what the max desired move speed is. But I like that there's a curve, so I can edit the curve of the speed. So if I do it like this. Well, no, not here. Obviously, because I'm just in the thing. Oh, what did I do? If I go here... Oh, I did change it. Okay. Does that feel different? Okay, I don't know what that does. I'll just say that. I have no idea what that does. Max desired move speed, in-air move speed. Hit ground cooldown. Amount of time the character keeps his accumulated speed before losing it while being on the ground. Bunny hop. Bunny hopping desired move speed incrementer. I don't want bunny hopping. Walk or run. That's the walk state. Keep in memory if player character was walking or running before being in the air. For states that require visible changes to the model. Crouch variables. Crouch speed. So that's speed while crouched. Crouch acceleration, crouch deceleration. Continuous crouch. Interesting. Crouch hitbox height, crouch model height. Walk variables as walk speed, walk acceleration, walk deceleration. There's no curves there, right? No, because I don't see any curves. Why would there be curves? If I don't see any curves, then there's no curves. Run. Continuous run? No. Jump height. Is there like double jump allowed? Jump cooldown. Jumps in air allowed. If I do that to 0, does it change it on this one? Yeah. I don't get double jump. Beans, if you're here, do you remember if My Summer Car has a jump? Surely? Jump? If there is a jump, it would be like not a very high jump, and it would be mostly to try to get over or get unstuck. I feel like I'll need something to use space for, right? The player will expect some mobility. If there is, just to get unstuck or climb. What space button for player will expect a mobility? It's just that you know, this isn't the kind of game where you're jumping on platforms. If you're going up somewhere, you're using a ladder or stairs or a ramp of some kind. You know, you don't jump in real life. I need to think about that. Gravity variables. Okay. So this is interesting. You have jump gravity. You have a separate jump gravity and a separate this is very interesting. Where are they? Gravity variables. Where are you? You're in player character, right? You're exported. For some reason, they don't show up. They're both... They're not exported at all. Is that why? Yeah, they're not exported at all. Can I do on ready and export? No. But I find this interesting. There is a separate... I like this. There's a separate... Okay, I need to write down what I like about each thing. There's a separate gravity for jumping and for falling. What is this one called? This one's called Simple State Machine. Pro and con. and the other one is like actual quality is what it's called, right? Quality first-person controller. Quality FP controller. Pro. Con. Let's get some music.
I don't understand. What do you want? You're just a machine.
Have you played with Unreal, Beans? Separate jump and fall gravity. Your PC's too slow for the new one. Yeah, see, Godot doesn't have that problem. And then keybind variables, it's fine. I get what that is supposed to be. Reference variables, I get that too. Okay. So you set the ground cooldown, jump cooldown, peyote jump cooldown. Built the default key bindings, it's fine. Don't want that to be hard-coded, but that's something to be fixed later. Input actions check. Check if the input actions written in the editor are the same as the ones registered in the input map, and if they are written correctly. I don't care about that. That's all it's doing in... okay, that's input actions check. That just happens in ready. Okay, that's what we do. Then, in physics process, we modify the physics process properties, which is this. We get the player character global position every frame, and we get the player character velocity every frame. And we check if the player character was on floor. And then you do move and slide is a function of the what's it called? Character body 3D in Godot. Don't care too much about how all of that is supposed to work. Then you apply gravity. If the player character goes up, apply jump gravity. Otherwise, apply fall gravity. If not is on floor, don't need to push the character if he's already on floor. If velocity y is more than 0, velocity y plus equals jump gravity times delta. So, okay, so that's if you're not on the floor. I'm just trying to think of like I was watching Geds play Monbazoo earlier, and the physics were going all over the place. In fact, project settings, physics. Okay, the default is Jolt. It appears. It's not. I think it might be. Jolt is a physics library, I guess, a physics engine built by someone who worked on the Horizon games, so it's pretty robust, and it's better than what Godot comes with. I mean, did it say that like? Okay, yeah. Jolt physics is the default for projects created starting in 4.6. And we're in 4.6. Okay. Use of two tweens to change the hitbox and model heights relative to a specific state. So this is an interesting thing that I was curious about. Like, how is this done? If I can find the... This is just HUD stuff. This doesn't matter. Wasn't there... Hitbox. Wasn't there an animation player here? I thought there was an animation player. The other one uses an animation player. This character uses an animation player. Like, if you're crouching, it actually shrinks everything. Oh, but of course, this is using tweens. But it's tweening the hitbox height. Alright, so you make a tween called hitbox tween. If hitbox is not null. The hitbox height, hitbox shape height. Wait, no, tween is interval. Okay. Set hitbox height. Tween model height. And that's it. That's all there is in here. Is it even using the mouse? Where's the camera holder? Does all of the camera stuff. Okay. And then, but then the camera has to move with the camera holder. I don't like that. I don't like that the camera logic. One, I don't like that the camera logic is separate from the player character logic. And I'm not saying that that's wrong because I don't know. I have no fucking clue. All I know is that makes it more complicated for me to understand what is going on. Right? That is what bothers me about that. That is, I don't know if it's better or whatever for the for this to be separate. I'm sure the person who made this, who has far better programming and game development skills than I do, knows what they were doing, but I find it a little confusing and frustrating. That what I like about Godot is you have all these scenes and nodes, and it's all like nicely self-contained. Build variables. Bob variables. No. So the head bob happens on the camera. There was a zoom action. There's a zoom action. What is zoom? Okay. There's a zoom toggle. Has a zoom. I mean, this is funny. This is where two parts of me kind of combine and clash. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, the zoom. How do I implement that? I know for a fact already. I've played around enough with these kinds of things. Zoom is purely just a question of making the FOV smaller. That's it. The camera has an FOV setting. When you hit a button, you tween or lerp the FOV to like a smaller amount, and then when you let go, it goes back to whatever the default was. I know that. The camera has exposed variables. That is cool. Zoom duration. Camera. String. Default actions check. Unhandled input. Delta. Enable forward tilt. In most first-person games, forward and backward tilt is not continuous, but only applied to the start of the movement. Using a lerp will be counterproductive, so in that case we use a tween to apply a one-time camera rotation. You do have a little bit of... Is it head bob? The head bob isn't very noticeable. In this. Or will say. But also, again, okay, let's set our walking speed to 9 or whatever, right? Walk variables. Walk speed is 9. No, walk speed has to be like 4. And run is like 7. The bob is way too slow. You have the stupid theme music on regular rotation in your head. Me too. Especially when I find weird devices inside my couch. Head bob is slow, but that's not a con because I can tweak that. But I'm like, this little movement that it does. If you see this little rotation movement, is that something that I want? Is that a nice, like... Is that nice? It's a minor thing, and I shouldn't spend too much time on it, but I'm thinking... I don't know if it's something I like or not. It does give a little bit of juice, right? And it seems like a minor thing and should be easy to implement. Yeah, okay. Camera logic. Camera logic is separate script. Forward and backward tilt. Forward backward input. Side tilt. Do I want side tilt? I think the side tilt might be overkill. As I said, because the player won't be strafing a lot. Now you might be wondering, how the fuck am I going to ever get any of this done when I'm taking so long to just look at character controllers? And one, this is important, but two, I'm also like slowly dipping my feet into the pool. Right? The speed is not going to be continuous. There will be moments where I'm just rapidly iterating on stuff and building things. But right now, I'm trying to like get my mind brain back into the code, but not just the code, but also the actual design of the software, whatever that will look like. As a complete amateur, side tilt is overkill. I like this comment. I blatantly copy-pasted this code from Stay at Home Dev's Godot FPS Series number 2. Camera effects video. So that's where the bob is done. But the bob is also aware of the ceiling. Bob pitch, smoother bobbing effect. Is there bob variables? Hold on. There are bob variables. Okay. Bob is cool. Oh, where did you go? The Bob, Bob is head Bob is in depth. Beans, you couldn't ask me to like build a hello world in any language under torture. I wouldn't know where to start. But I do know that I've always had very decent skills at like looking at code and hacking it a little bit. That's what I did with the forum also. And then reaching a plateau where like I don't actually understand what's going on and it's difficult. And part of what this is also a quest to kind of burst through that ceiling, you know? Zoom. So according to this, the zoom is temporary. But it's not. I don't know what's going on there. Zoom code. Not clear. The duration is just the time it takes to zoom in and out. See? See what I mean? Thank you. State machine. See, I don't even know. I kind of like, I understand what a state machine is on a very basic level, but like the actual fundamentals of it, I don't know. Change cam position. Change FOV. This is where it's actually changing the FOV. Mouse mode, okay. Is there anything else to this character? There's the HUD, but I don't care about that. That's not, that's just a debug HUD. It doesn't matter to me right now. That'll be useful to me once I decide I want debug. So let's look at the other one. So for pros, I have separate jump and fall gravity. I feel like I don't know why that's a pro. That shouldn't matter. Because jump height is all I would need. So that's not a pro because it doesn't matter. I was thinking like, well, that means, you know, I can give it little jumps because you feel heavy or whatever. But like, I can do that with jump height and these other variables. Has zoom. If basic and rudimentary, and I would want to change it because I want to put it on the right click button or the middle click button, and I want it to be a hold, not a toggle. But like again, I can't tell you how to do that right now, but I do know that like the difference between a hold and a toggle in the code is a very basic fundamental thing that once I figure it out, it should be okay. It's epic Racing Lagoon ending music. I like the forward and backward tilt on move. And there seems to be an in-depth head bob. The cons is the camera logic is a separate script. That also means, like that, for instance, that also means when I start modifying things, when I start cutting stuff out, like if I cut out the ability to double jump, like I can turn off the ability to double jump. But I feel like for my character controller, for my code to be readable for me, or God forbid, if I ever get to a point where someone else has to look at the code, that I don't have that shit in there at all, right? So then there might be things I need to remove from two files. And since I didn't write this and it's not in my head, I'd like it to be similar. So let's take a breath. I'm feeling feelings in my chest. Let's take a breath. And then we're gonna look at the other character control. Okay. Okay. Copyright Colormatic Studios, MIT license. Extends character body 3D. Has a base speed. Right, so that's walk speed. And then sprint speed also has commented code. Hello. I know, like, among coders, there is this philosophy that commenting should be unnecessary because the code should speak for itself. And I get that. And I understand the use of that in your little coding world. In the world of, here I am reading someone else's code, not being in their team and whatever, and I want to know what a variable specifically does, and I want to understand also what the person who wrote this was thinking and what they mean. I love that every line here, every variable has a comment. Thank you so much, Colormatic Studios. The speed that the character moves at when sprinting. Even your icon can be a pain if you haven't looked at it for a month. Or the next day. Sprint speed, crouch speed. Acceleration. When motion smoothing is on. When motion smoothing is on. What is motion smoothing? Feature settings. Motion smoothing. Okay. Okay. Now, there it says motion smoothing smooths the feel of walking. That's not very clear, but we'll figure it out. And I can test it, right? We have sprint speed, we have crouch speed. I think these... Have I modified these myself? We can remove you. And add character.scene. Hold on. Okay. Oh, right. For some reason, controls. Can I modify this in here? Project settings, input map, show built-in actions. UI left. A UI right. UI up. W. This is, you know, technically better than how the other character controller hard-coded the controls in, because this is how you want to do it in Godot. Jump UI accept. Not enter. Space. Crouch, crouch. Do you have a crouch? You don't have a crouch, so I need to make a crouch. thing I never figured out is what you want. What if you want to let the player bind their controls? I'm pretty sure that is just a UI thing somewhere. I've played Godot games where you can let that, where you can do that. Sorry. Sprint. Wait, I think Kujito has that actually. Let me just finish this and I can show you. Pause. I don't care about that. Well, maybe I do because pause, add new action. Pause, add escape. Let's just save this and I quit the project list. I just opened a Kujito project. Because it comes with like menus and stuff too, so you could download that to take a look at how it does things. Hope it doesn't crash anything. Oh, okay, this is me having broken things. There, options. Bindings. See, and it's listening for input. Oops, that should be S. So totally doable. Beans. So if I suppose first thing you could do is just download Cogito, Cogito, and play around with that and see wherever they do that in the code. That for me is a very, very far off thing for me to worry about, you know. Okay, base speed is 3, sprint speed is 6. We have acceleration. We have jump velocity. Oh wait, like that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to play around with it now that I've bounded the controls. And apparently I broke something. It was working fine before. Okay. There's a jump. And we're crouching. And we're running. And there's a this head bob is not bad. You feel like am I getting like a side to side on the head bob? Yeah. I like that. Usually in these basic character controls, the head bob is just an up and down sine wave depending on the speed, right? But you see how the line is moving sideways, which really does make it feel like, oh, I like that. Sideways head bob. Hell yeah. Okay. Not this. You. Script. Acceleration, jump velocity, mouse sensitivity, invert axes. Whether the player can use movement inputs does not stop outside forces for jumping. See jumping enabled. Interesting. Immobile. So one thing I know, like I've been thinking about how to implement this, right? I've been thinking about when you enter the vehicle, how you enter the vehicle. I've talked about this a little bit last time, but I think it bears repeating because I don't understand how any of this works. And as you can tell from how I stream these things, when I talk about it, that helps me understand it. If so, in the two extremes in my eyes are for stuff that I've played are Cyberpunk 2077 and My Summer Car. Cyberpunk 2077, you hit use on the car door, animation plays where your character enters the car, opens the car door, enters the car door closes, and now you are no longer walking. You can still look around, but your controls now control the car. Right? So certain options get disabled, and your controls now move the car while your look and user interface stuff, so like your phone or whatever the calling thing is in that game, still work, but like you're no longer moving your character around. The car is moving the camera. The car is now in control of the camera and the location of your character. And then to leave, you just hit the exit button. Animation plays. Open the car door. Exit. Close the car door. You are now back into full control. Okay, very basic. I don't care for it. It doesn't feel immersive to me at all. My Summer Car is the other extreme. You have to press on the door. Hey, I literally just wub. I'm trying. I'm very amateurish. I don't know what I'm doing, and that's what's so fun about it. What I'm making is a every time I try to put it into words, it feels like it fails. I am trying to make a first-person life/job simulator adventure game-ish thing inspired by my youth living on Aruba. Somewhat based on games like My Summer Car, Landlord Super, Mon Bazoo, if you're familiar with any of those games, where there's a lot of interaction with you and the world, and an automobile is very important to the movement around the map. And I'm basically starting from scratch, trying to learn all of this, figuring out where I need to start and sketching it all out. I have piles and piles of notes because I've been wanting to do this for years and years, and I feel like there's a certain momentum now where I can actually get this done. I was discussing how you get in a car in games, and how I want to do it, and how I would implement that in code, because I don't really know how to code. I know how to read code, but I don't know how to code. Does that make sense? I know how to read Spanish, but don't ask me to speak it. Not even to ask for directions. So in Cyberpunk 2077, to get into a car, you click on the door and it's all automated, and then you're in the car. And to leave the car, you hit the exit car. You have the exit car button. You do that, and animation plays. You're out of the car. And my advice to you is to follow your dreams anyway. Coding is not that hard. It just requires you to extend your brain a little bit. My Summer Car is the complete opposite of that. Not the complete opposite. Is the other extreme. To get in the car, the actions you have to take are: 1. You click on the car door to open the car door. Then you're still standing there, you're still in full control, and the car is just standing there with an open door now. You can click on the car door again to also close it. I don't think there's physics involved in that. 2, and this is where it sets itself apart from a lot of other games. To get into the car, you just get into the car. it does this bizarre thing where when you start moving towards the seat, your hitbox shrinks, and you're now like sitting or standing, crouching on top of the driver's seat or passenger seat if you get into the passenger. And then you can kind of move around a little bit, and you can interact with the dashboard a little bit, and you can. Then there's like a little UI pop-up, I think, where it says basically enter driving mode. And when you enter driving mode, wherever you have positioned yourself on the seat is where you lock in. You are no longer able to move. You are now in driving mode. From there, you have to close the door yourself. You have to manually, not have to, but you can manually attach the seatbelt. You have to hit the ignition, and then you can go. You have to let go of the parking brake, and then you go. But in driving mode, you control the steering wheel and the acceleration. Right. See, now, even now, as I'm talking about it, I'm understanding it better, too. So what I want is that, but a little less intricate. I think the idea of, like, getting... Like, I know that My Summer Car is coded on a visual coding system, and is just a mess. And yet some of it is like really impressive. And I don't know if that is skills or like I didn't know how to do this, so I just figured it out and it managed to work. All the more impressive for it. But I think what I want is, yes, you hit a button. You click on the door to open the door of the car. In this case, a Suzuki Samurai. And then you hit use on the seat. An animation plays that places you on a specified location on the seat. And that's like Kojito has that kind of code where you have a sitting code. And that places you into driving mode. So that disables any other kind of movement and whatever. And now you are controlling the steering wheel and the acceleration of the car, but you still have to close the door yourself. You still have to put on a seatbelt. You still have to disengage the parking brake and hit the ignition. The long drive. I do wish that there was this somewhat cozy, somewhat challenging survival game where you take care of both yourself and your car as you drive down an endless road. Technically, The Long Drive did that, but there's something about that game that I don't quite like, and I can't really describe it. Is it that? I'll say this in the gentlest way I can. Because I haven't played The Long Drive, but I've seen people play it a lot. That game, in a lot of ways, seems to me very abrasive. In the sense that it's very rough around the edges, and it's rough around every single edge. I would like to create something that's a little bit more, refined. Krita, where are you? So what I have in mind, right, is this is Aruba. I grew up here. This is where my family is from. I don't know if you're familiar. Hey, Daniel. The Long Drive is really janky. Oh, well, didn't I have a Google Earth? This is Aruba. I have it on Google Earth. I don't know why I opened Krita for this. There is a tourist spot called the Natural Bridge. Beautiful location. Right? But this is the year 2005. It looked like this. In the year, the present, or whatever, it looks like this. In 2005, it collapsed. Coincidentally, when I left the island. So the idea is there's like a tourist spot here. It's quite large here, but it's basically like a snack bar / souvenir shop. It used to be called the Thirst Aid Station, believe it or not. Because, you know, tour buses come here, rental cars come here, even locals come here to admire the view and whatever. So the idea is there's this long road. There's this long road until you get to where it's actually built up and there's actually houses and stuff. This road is about 2 kilometers, maybe a little longer. And in the game, I want it to be 2 kilometers. And it's like rough. It's mostly dirt. There's some parts that are paved, but it's mostly dirt. And so the idea is the initial world would be like this area with room for expansion in the future. Boiling Point Road to Aruba, yes. Basically, but also a little less jank than Boiling Point, I hope. The idea is you live here somewhere, and hey Disty, doesn't matter. I'm glad you ate. The idea is you live here and you work here, right? And so every day you need to drive there, and you need to do stuff here, and every day you need to drive back. But also you can explore. And there will be other things to do, and you need to manage your food and your hygiene and the heat. And this will actually be a business that you need to at least take part in. I had originally envisioned it that you manage it fully, but I feel like that would take away from a lot of the fun of being able to explore. But basically, I think now the idea is you can choose to work there on a day and then make a certain amount of money that you can then invest in, you know, food, parts for your vehicle, whatever. And eventually, once I have an MVP that has this area, I'd like to be able to create the whole island on a kind of miniature scale that you can drive around on. And then hit specific spots in detail that you could drive to and then do activities on. Like here, this doesn't exist anymore. This is a supermarket now, but this is like a big 18-hole mini golf course that I used to love going to as a kid. I want to recreate this virtually because it doesn't exist anymore, and that's the only way I can still play it. So then you'll have to drive to it, you know, you have to pay money to use it. It takes time, whatever. There'll be relationships. And very crucially, because the natural bridge is at risk of collapse, I am familiar with Monbazoo, Daniel. Because the bridge... I was watching someone play it earlier today, in fact. Because the bridge is at risk of collapse, because that is what really happened in 2005, and because Aruba is an island I care for dearly that has this conflict of its main source of income, the reason why it is such a... It is like one of the most... highest quality of living places in the entire Caribbean, right? And like it's just north of Venezuela, and even without the American meddling going on recently, Venezuela doesn't have a high standard of living. Aruba has a remarkably high standard of living. Started off by this giant refinery that used to be, during World War II, one of the largest refineries in the world. Has since shut down, and the island pivoted to tourism. As you can see here, these are all huge resorts here on this beach. There is this tension between, like, tourism is where we get our money from, but tourism can also be damaging to the ecology. Now, the reasons why the bridge collapsed is, in reality, the same reason why the bridge exists in the first place, which is there is the trade winds that come all the way from the Atlantic that are just pounding the fuck out of this northern coast of the island on a constant basis, and the water has created this rough, cliffy, you know, situation. There's caves that were created by the water. The water controls everything here. This used to be a cave at some point. This collapsed, the water washed it away. a natural bridge remains. There's a second smaller one here, by the way, that's still standing. And at some point, the water punished the bridge enough so that it couldn't sustain itself anymore and collapsed. But I have a distinct memory of it as a kid, and I'm going to do some research into this, into what kind of preservation activities there were actually going on. I remember signs being like, hey, don't walk here because it might collapse. So there were cracks forming already, right? And there were like, don't stand on the bridge. I'm pretty sure in the 70s, people drove over it. Just to have said it. To have said, oh, we drove over it. And there's like these cool beaches here that people try to kind of off-road to as well. So the idea is you are managing this tourist spot and you're getting money out of it. But at the same time, I want the potential collapse of the bridge to play a role in how you manage things. Because if you do things, if you do things that lead to too many tourists, that might hasten the collapse, you know? Potentially you could invest some money into fortifying it somehow. And maybe the bridge does collapse and then your income craters. Although in real life, the bridge collapsed, right? Here it is, all collapsed. As you can see, people still come to see it. Let's not worry about that. So that is what I am trying to build. From having zero professional coding or game design skills whatsoever. I've dabbled for much of my life. I've never built anything bigger than like a simple Android puzzler or Flash game or whatever. So this will be quite a humongous learning experience, but that's what makes it fun. I have like a list of things I need to learn here. I need to learn shaders. I need to learn proper 3D modeling. That's my skills in that are quite rudimentary as well. NPC AI, and there's going to be traffic. How the hell am I going to do that? I have no idea. UI coding, that's an endless well of learning. There's going to be this whole management aspect of it where the world is alive and things are happening and NPCs can have storylines and whatever. Time passes, you know? Like one thing I'm implementing, or will be years from now when I get to that point, is that Aruba is outside of the hurricane belt, but it still has a rainy season. It's a very dry, arid place, unlike most of the Caribbean. Most of the Caribbean is a little more classically tropical, jungly, very humid. Aruba is very dry and arid, kind of deserty, a lot of cactuses, a lot of trees with tiny little leaves. Aloe, you know, that kind of stuff. So most of the time, it'll be nice and sunny. And the way I want to implement this is every 4 weeks is a rainy season. You know, it's to kind of accelerate the time or whatever. So, but every 21st day in game time, rainy season starts, and then for that week, every day there's a chance that it's going to be fucking super rainy. You know, that's the kind of stuff I have to manage. Copy paste code for some random ass video on YouTube just so that I can make a replay button for a Flash animation. That's how I started. That's how everyone starts. It's fine. This code that you see here, that's not mine. That's from the asset library. That's why it exists in Godot. I'm gonna be taking so much code from other people, and then I'm gonna take it apart, dissect it, and learn from it. This one is nicely commented. That's what we were going through, and I was just commenting on that this character controller, which for some reason keeps making me fall through the world, which isn't great. Oh, because of course I'm launching the character controller that's not in a world. I need to launch this scene. It has sideways head bob. If you look at the line, you can see it moving kind of sideways as you're walking. And I'm really digging that as a kind of immersive feature. Because right now I've have 2 character controllers that I've downloaded, and I'm trying to kind of decide which one I'm gonna go with to modify, because I intend to do very strange things, like the way you interact with the world and how I want to do the inventory is quite novel. I have no idea how I'm going to code that, but I am at some point, probably, maybe, I hope. The streaming also gives me a little bit of accountability. You know, I'm making this like a public project. That means I feel like people are like watching and like kind of hoping for this to become something. We're very, very, very extremely humongously far away from having anything playable, but you look, Wub, if I may call you Wub, because you are literally just Wub. There are so many resources. It's never, ever, ever in the history of ever been easier. Ever. Are you aware of Game Boy Studio? Game Boy Studio is a small application that lets you make genuine, real Game Boy games that will play on the Game Boy using extremely simple coding and scripting. You know? So start small, build out, find communities. I don't know if you're on the forum. Hold on. How do I do this? Toggle YouTube. I don't know if you're aware of the forum. We have a bunch of game developers on the forum. And I'm hosting like bi-monthly, every 2 months-ish, creative jams, some of which are somewhat game-like. I love games, and I love it when people who think they have game ideas learn to or feel like they can try to make games, because who knows? Okay, but now I need to go back to the code. Acceleration, jump velocity, mouse sensitivity, invert, immobile. Whether the player can use movement inputs, immobile var. That is where the tangent happened 30 minutes ago. This character controller has a built-in way to disable movement inputs, which is exactly what I wanted for the vehicle. Okay. These are the nodes, that's fine. These are just the references. 2. The head. The parent node to the camera and is rotated instead of the camera for mouse input. Interesting. But does that mean that if I had a... what if I added a mesh? Where is the camera pointing? That way. If I added a mesh... that is connected to the character. And it's just a box. A little peener. No, I just want to make it like an arm or something. But if the head is the thing that moves, that means the body is not the thing that moves? That's my question. Yeah. Okay, but I don't want things attached to the body either. Nah, I'm not. See, I keep thinking about like, oh, how complicated can I make it? I don't want to make it that complicated. I don't. It's fine. I have concepts in my head for devices that the character has. A phone, a watch, an MP3 player, a key ring. And I keep wondering about how I would display those to the player, you know, like... You have the GTA 4 style, just a little phone in the corner thing. I want them to feel like they're usable devices. And that's going to have to be attached to the character. Okay, head. Camera. Head bob animation. Oh, okay, so it's an animation. Alright, check it out. So in this case, the head bob is not done by any kind of tweening or code. It is purely an animation. Probably the speed is controlled by the walk speed. Although there is a separate one for sprint. But that one just has a different flow to it. Hi Noya!
Exclamation. Yainrain has resubscribed to the BOBSTREAM and has been a subscriber for 44 months. Who's my favorite Bob?
Is that a question? It's this one. It's the one that goes sideways like this. Is there like an up and down to the Bob? Yeah, there is. It's nice. I like it. It's a good Bob. It's a decent Bob. We are getting so old. Jump animation, crouch animation. Jump animation? Hold up. The animation is a jump? Oh, that's just the camera. Okay. Okay. I'm like, why does the jump have to be animated? But that's... I see. There's a little land animation. I don't know if I'm going to use that. Crouch animation I get. And then there's the collision shape, which is this. I don't know why the crouch animation is the character is a child of the character. The head bob animation. So the crouch animation is what? The crouch animation is the shrinking of the capsule, right? And that includes everything, including the head. Okay. Not entirely clear on that. Okay. We are using UI controls, right? Controller specific. So there is controller stuff. And analog. So both of them have analog stick stuff. That's cool. Now, jumping enabled. Useful for restrictive storytelling environments. That's the entire game. Noya, how are you doing? Other than feeling old? Please tell me. In-air momentum. Whether the player can move in the air or not. Okay. What if we turn motion smoothing off? What happens? How does that feel? Feature settings. Motion smoothing off. I mean, I'm not feeling any particular difference, to be perfectly honest. Oh, you can't climb this steep. Yeah, I don't know what motion smoothing does. Okay, whatever. We can... Didn't agree with the decision of my boss at work. He said you could do it like this, but then I don't want to be involved with this project, and now you're feeling meh. You want me? You want me to kill him? No, yeah. You want me to go over there and just kind of? I am proud of you for saying no. Well done. Sprinting. Toggles the sprinting state when the button is pressed. Requires the player to hold the button down to remain sprinting. Alright. Enables or disables crouching. It's just cute. It's cute that that it has these features, but also like if I were to disable crouching or jumping, I would just remove it entirely. Toggles the crouch state when the button is pressed or required. Yeah. Whether sprinting should affect FOV. Okay. Continuous hopping. Our boss is nice, just annoying sometimes. Okay. Understood. No, yeah. Understood. View bobbing. You gotta type out it's view bobbing instead of view bobbing. Where does it say view bobbing? Are you making a little joke? Enables an immersive animation when the player jumps and hits the ground. I do like that. Pause button. See, I don't think pause should be. It's not a con. It's not a con. But I don't think pause should be connected to the player controller, the character controller. Right? Or maybe it should? There will not be a situation in the game where there is no character controller present. Because that's the camera anyway. So maybe that's fine. See you later, Beans. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the donation. Appreciate you. And I'm wondering, like, yeah, where does the UI go? Should the UI be a part of the character? I need to, you know, these are like a kind of big, large-scale architecture things. I do wonder if it might be worth seeing if there is a more... Well, Kojito is a good place to check, actually. Because it did do some things I liked, and I'll probably still steal some things from it with regards to like the character interaction and that kind of stuff. Yeah. Okay. Initialize the variables. Base speed, current speed. States. Low ceiling. This is for when the ceiling is too low and the player needs to crouch. What does that mean? Reticle. Let's go back to this. Reticle. Control. Where's the reticle? Probably in user interface, right? Just debug panel. What's debug panel? Hey, what opens the debug panel?
Yeah, where were you the day Sol exploded? And that's coming on the 5th of the month.
Accessibility. No. I'm in the control node. I need to be in the character. Feature settings. No. Controls. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Get the gravity from the project settings. I like that. How's Bob doing? I'm a little exhausted. This morning I filmed something huge and ambitious that you won't get to see for several weeks. Reticle control, gravity, yeah. Mouse input, yeah, whatever. Main control flow. It is safe to comment this line if your game doesn't start with the mouse captured. If the controller is rotated in a certain direction for the game design purposes, redirect this rotation into the head. Head rotation is rotation Y. If default reticle, change reticle. I'm still wondering where the hell is reticle? You just made a reticle that's a control node. I think the reticle is I'll probably get there. I think the reticle is made dynamically. If OS name if the OS is web, we're not going to make a web build for this. I've thought about this, you know, especially with all the hardware garbage happening now because of AI and whatever. Obviously, this is going to be like a not super large, but still sizable open world game. I am and some of the plugins I intend to be using have level of detail stuff. I found a specific plugin for open worlds. Where is it? Open World Database, it's called. Which is like specifically for loading and unloading items and things. Automatic chunking of scene content based on camera position. It's not even for a world as big as mine. It's probably for much bigger worlds, but I'm gonna try to keep that in mind. And I'm thinking, you know, like, you know me, I'm like thinking about 17 different things at the same time. I'm like sketching out what the MP3 player looks like, and then wondering what the visual style of the textures needs to be. And I'm not sure yet, but I think I'm going to do something kind of PS2 inspired, but not like, oh, these are PS2 graphics, but more that like I'm pretty happy with for the most part, the model and texture fidelity of the PlayStation 2 for my environment and like buildings and stuff. And I don't think I'll be using shaders too much in the sense of like these overwhelming visual beauty things, but more like in places where it makes sense, or where it would look good, like the water. So, but I'm thinking like, yeah, I'd like this to be playable on low-end hardware, aka kind of what I'm running my computer on, at least the video card, right? The 1660 Super is probably the lowest, one of the lowest end video cards that is still supported by modern drivers. But that's, you know, I'm just it's funny because I know I have my skills, my programming skills, my game architecture skills are very low, but I'm trying to be cognizant of that and trying to from the beginning already say like, hey, if I'm going to be doing this, I need to be smart about it. I need to understand how chunking works. Like the terrain that you want to use has chunking, has level of detail. There's like a road plugin that I might consider using. They don't have level of detail yet, but it's on the roadmap. So hopefully by the time I get there, maybe that's in there already, or maybe I have to figure it out myself. That's possible too. But there's not going to be a web build. You know, it's going to be PC first, and if we're lucky, we might hit a Nintendo console or two. Okay, if pausing enabled, handle pausing. Yeah. Update debug menu per frame. Where's the debug though? What is the debug button? Debug. The added control, you might want to add a trigger. The actions are being disabled so the engine doesn't halt the entire project in debug mode. What is debug mode? Debug menu. I want to see it. Because I want to see the speed and stuff. Toggle debug menu. F7. Hard-coded. Okay. Don't care for that debug mode is hard-coded. It's minor detail. Is hard-coded. Button. I'm gonna take a piss. Womp 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 womp. Womp 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 womp. Okay. Let's actually continue looking at this fucking thing. Handle state moving. See, this one had the state machine in nodes. Oh, it's so complicated. That's actually a negative. That's a con for that. The state machine is also in separate scripts and nodes. My understanding of a state machine is simply, you know, it simply tells the code, well, we're in this state now, so do this code. And if we do something, if we're in a different state, then do that code. It's basically a kind of if else, what would you call it? Thingy. Right, okay, if sprint enabled, if sprint mode is 0, yeah, that's the sprint modes. I'm gonna remove all of that. If the player is holding sprint before moving, handle that scenario. So we're down here, okay. Enter sprint state. If we're not crouching, we can sprint. Now I'm thinking too, this is where I will be managing some of the attributes, right? If you're sprinting, increase fatigue by X amount while sprinting. If state is not sprinting, enter sprint state. If state is sprinting, enter normal state. Right, so that's the toggle. Handle state moving. Where's moving? If moving. Sorry, handle state. Handle state. Input direction. Okay. If moving. Right. Sprint mode is 1. That's a hold. So if action pressed and the state is normal, enter sprint state. Match state normal or sprinting. If the player is holding sprint before moving, but then we wouldn't be moving, wouldn't we? I don't know. It's a little confusing. If crouch enabled, the same thing for crouching. As long as crouching ceiling isn't detecting, and that's a shape cast. That's a shape cast. That is pointing up. Right. Any enter state function should only be called once when you want to enter that state, not enter frame. Enter normal state. I forgot about the debug. That was F7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. There we go. That's what I want. It'll probably take a little bit of time before you like double your speed. Crouching in the air. Crouching in the air allows you for Half-Life type situations, right? Normal state. Okay. Funk, enter normal state. If we're gonna do Russia difficulty, this is a proper Russia difficulty. Huh? Function, enter normal state. Previous state is state. This is a property of. It's a string. The previous state is crouching. Crouch animation mode. Uncrouch. State is normal, state is baseball. Enter crouch state. Crouching. Speed is crouch speed. Play the animation. Enter sprint state. Previous state is whatever the state is. If that is crouching, uncrouch, then the state is moves. The state changes to sprinting, and the speed changes to the sprint speed. I feel like there's a more efficient way of doing that, but I wouldn't know what. Initialize animations. If you want to change the default head height, change these animations. Play the head bob animation. Alright. If we're normal or crouching, use the walk or use the sprint. If headbutt animation, headbutt animation was playing, headbutt animation play. Speed scale, right. Randomize the initial head bob direction. Let me explain that piece of code because it looks like it does the opposite of what it actually does. The head bob animation has two starting positions. One is at 0 and the other is at 1. Rand I modulo 2 returns either 0 or 1, and so the animation randomly starts at one of the starting positions. This code is extremely performant, but it makes no sense. That's a good comment. Head on sprint or is walk. Speed scale is 1. Play reset. So reset, I see. Reset is the 0. Gotcha. The stop just stops it wherever it is, or no, stops at the beginning. Alright, and reset is the animation that moves it back to the original positions, which is whatever. Play jump animation. If was on floor and is on floor. If not was on floor and is on floor. Get the direction. Get the facing direction 2D. Velocity. Compares velocity direction against the camera direction via dot product to determine which landing animation to play. There's multiple landing animations. I like the landing animation, but I don't know if it's necessary. Yeah, it's just right, left, and center. And this is the debug menu. And then this is the reticle. You know, reticle, whatever. Reticle, reticle Q3, reticle load, reticle and instantiate character itself. I still don't understand where the reticle comes from. It's the camera FOV for when you're sprinting. Handle pause. If input is action, just press control pause. See? You may want another node to handle pausing because this player may get paused too. I think pausing should happen at a higher level in the game world. Because I need to be pausing everything, right? Everything except like the UI or whatever. So this is just a debug thing. Okay, editor module. What is this? This tool. Okay. Controller editor module. Don't know what this is. Head rotation. Okay. I think just by virtue of being much simpler and still doing the basics of what I needed to do, I'm going with this, the quality first-person controller. The only thing I really want to steal, I still don't understand where the reticle... Where does the reticle happen? I need to understand where the reticle happens. Reticle. The reticle file to import at runtime. Oh. I see. They are their own little files. They are done in code, and they're their own little... that's a dot. And that's that. Okay. Set to an empty string to remove. So export file. Default reticle. We want dot, right? Yeah. I know, you know, there's the famous Mirror's Edge story where they had no reticle, or they had like no user interface, anything on screen, and people were getting sick. I know there's like a subset of people that can't handle first person games at all, or get sick during it. But then they added a little dot in the middle, and that solved the problem for a decent percentage of it. But I think I dropped my pen. I think I'm gonna go with the quality first-person controller. This is the winner due to simplicity. Although I will be tearing out a bunch of stuff for this first prototype. So I think here's what I want to do. I have the quality first-person controller. It's a wonderful name. My GF is like that, and she did the audio on a whole ass first-person game for like 4 years. Did she have to like play it to do the audio? Thesis advisor also strictly plays 2D games. It's a shame. It's a shame. I don't get motion sick at all, except for like sometimes in a plane or something. Quality first-person controller. I want to add the little add forward and backward tilt on move from simple state machine. I don't know how to do that. Simple state machine. Controller. Because it's like a little thing that might take me months and months to... No, not months. It might take me many hours to get working. It's a simple thing that I feel really, really adds like a little extra, right? I don't have it in a playable form, but... Yeah. Also add a zoom. Function. I want to rename all instances of sprint to run. Because for me, in my head, that makes more sense. Sprint is not something you do in this game. A sprint is something you do when there's a monster behind you and you need to get the fuck out, or when you just want to cross the level real fast, and that's not gonna happen. So rename all instances of sprint to run. It's like copy into your own new scene. Then there's the question of like, there's still the question of, well, okay, there's Coyote time. I don't need that. Right, is that in this one? Was that? That was just this one. Okay, that's not this one. Head bob is good. I'm happy with the head bob. I don't even need to change it. Especially at this stage. The head bob is fine. I just still don't know if I want to do a jump. Okay, so the thing about Aruba is there's lots of rocks. And as a kid, and quite frankly as an adult, because I did this last time I was there too. They're fun to climb. You know, these little rock formations, they're fun to climb sometimes. Now you have proper rock formations that you can just kind of... They have stairs and stuff past you. Rock formations. Alright, like this. There's like stairs up to the platform. But sometimes like you just have a random pile of rocks. Like we hiked all the way back here last time. And like here, this is like the top of a hill, as you can see. And it's like just a nice pile of rocks, you know? And if I have a jump mechanic, you could potentially climb that. I think what I want to do is the jump height just has to be somewhat realistic. The jump height has to be like 50 centimeters or whatever. I don't know how I would measure that in the game, but you know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't feel like a video game jump. Does it feel like a video game jump in here? Wrong scene again. Yeah, this is a video game jump. Also, this one has better angle stuff. Look, on the way up, you can see my speed goes to 2.6, and on the way down, it goes a little over 3. I mean, that's something I can tweak. But it handles it better than the other character controller did. 2.6. I like that. That's what I wanted. 2.5. Okay, so it is dynamic. Oh, it's gonna go into the pros, even though I've already decided. Slopes. Slow you down. Or speed up on way down. Probably got to be a limit to that, though. Which would be the fall speed, I suppose. Interesting. Because what is the max fall speed? I mean, it's gravity, right? It's... I don't know what the terminal velocity is. It doesn't matter anyway. There's no place where you fall from this height. Cool. So I guess shorten jump. Yeah, I think. Hey, Red. Say the words, Red.
Today is the day.
Thank you, Red. How are you doing, Red? Encountered any flushing toilets lately? Yeah, so my question was, do I have... I've come to the conclusion that I do want jumping. And, that it'll just be, like, less, like, I don't know, whatever. Around 50 centimeters. I can test this. Test and play around. Test and play around. Where does the immobilize thing come to play? There was immobilize. Immobile? How do I turn immobile on? If there is no control map, that's the only case. Okay. But I like that I have that's there already, but like if not immobile. Okay, here's the important one. This is in physics process. Immobility works by interrupting user input so other forces can still be applied to the player. So, when you... Sorry about the Windows, Red. So, when you get into the vehicle, immobility is turned on. Right? It should be as simple as... I mean, jump might still work. I don't know. We can add that into. But it should be as simple as open the door of the car, hit use on the seat, immobility is turned on, animation moves the character in its entirety to the seat to the right location. Once that animation is finished playing, car controls enabled. I would like for immersion and fun. I had written this down somewhere. I wanted to have it so that you could potentially use, like, you don't have to be in the car, you don't have to be sitting in car mode in order to use stuff in the car. So if you can reach like the hood latch without sitting in the car, right? Because a lot of people do that. In the Suzuki Samurai, the hood latch is in the glove box, so on the passenger side. So to do that, you could go and sit in the car and potentially reach it from the driver's seat. Or you can go to the passenger side, open the door, open the glove box, and then use the hood latch without having to sit in the driver's seat. Okay, so immobility. Nice. Crouching. Crouching. I am imagining uses of crouching. Uses of crouching. Yes, there are uses of crouching. I'm not sure yet, but you might be able to change the tires. You know? That is like a typical thing that you would feel the need to crouch for. What other scenarios? If like stocking shelves becomes a thing. Crouching does give a sense of again, embodiment. A sense of like I can move up and down, just like jump. If I want to go a little higher, I can jump. If I want to go a little shorter, I can crouch. In Landlord Super, because you're often like working with the foundation and building your house. Like not only can you crouch, but like you can adjust the exact height of your crouch. It was actually kind of awkward, but it was very interesting. But now that I think about it, for just those two use cases alone, like we're not even talking about climbing or exploring. I'm thinking too, like, yeah, I want. Well, again, there's two things going on here. There is what is the basic character controller I want to build now that is a simple prototype, kind of proof of concept, whatever, versus what will not just the final game look like, but beyond that, if I'm able to add other environments and whatever, then there will be plenty of opportunities to crouch. What if you're playing mini golf and you kind of want to angle? You're not going to swing while crouching, but what if you want to, kind of look at the lay of the course, the mini golf course? Yeah. And I think just like how I find it important to have zoom in a game, I think it's important in these kinds of first-person adventure games that you are able to look closely at things. So crouch is staying. So I'm just gonna say crouch is staying. Now, if I had more than 20 minutes, I could do some of that right now, but that's not gonna happen. So instead, it's funny because this page, this particular page, I wrote on stream last week. That was the one page that I wrote on stream. All the other pages are during the weekend. But I think what I'll need to do is what else? What else? Not just what else will the player need to do, but what else do I want to implement right now? Because there's a bunch of things I would like to implement, but I don't want to implement right now, but I can see how this could work. What am I removing? I'm not removing anything, huh? It turns out. Base speed, sprint speed, crouch speed, acceleration, mouse sensitivity, immobile. What were the feature settings? Jump enabled, yes. In-air momentum, no. Remove in-air momentum. That we won't need. Remove in-air momentum. Motion smoothing, sprint enabled, yeah. Sprint mode. Remove sprint mode options. Sprint will always be a hold. Remove crouch mode options. Remove, basically I need to remove a bunch of like feature settings. Basically clean up feature settings. Dynamic gravity. I don't need settings for any of these. You know, but it's like solidified. It's like set in stone. Remove what you don't want and set in stone what you do. So the other features of okay, we have walking and looking, crouch, run, sprint. We don't have zoom, but we'll add that. Slipperiness and that feels a little more advanced, right? The having different surfaces. I don't know how this music is a little too intense for right now. The advanced simple state or advanced state machine first person controllers had surfaces, but like I'm thinking, do I really need that? I certainly don't need it right now. And I don't see where that would even go, what that would even look like. Because an unstable, there's no slippery surface. There's simply a steep surface. But that makes me curious, huh? That makes me curious. Like, this surface was too steep to go on, but can I... Can I copy you? How do I duplicate? Control D. What happens on a too steep surface? I just slip. Yeah. Okay. Then I don't need it's already built in slipperiness, because it's basically handled by steepness. That should be called stepth. I might need surface stuff for sound at some point in the future. Like if you're slipping, if you're like sliding down and you're touching the ground, then you'd kind of want like, or like, was there control? Could I go left or right while sliding down? No. So there's a state there where you're essentially falling but also touching ground, where I could add some, but that's a for future thing. Stairs and ladders. Head bob. Okay. Stairs and ladders is a prototype 2, 3, or 4 thing, so don't worry about that. I just need like basic button interaction. That's what I want. Add basic button interaction. Could like what are the controls? What are the controls for interaction? What are controls for interaction? A basic button interaction is you click on a thing and it reacts, right? And the reacting would be handled by the item, by the button. But the raycast, the clicking on the thing, the putting your mouse over a switch and then clicking, sending a message to that switch, needs to be handled by the player controller. What are the controls? Like the usual controls for... Oh, I have a flashlight? The usual controls in games is like E, F, right click, or click, left click, right click. I don't know yet. Usually these games have items that you can pick up that have physics. And you can grab them in like a physics way. You know, you can put them down and they'll have physics. And there's a lot of like emergence that comes out of that. But I don't know if I want that necessarily. I might want it for some items. I think when it comes to, like, say, carrying stuff in the back of a pickup bed, you're gonna want to have the ability to move them around. I don't know yet. Where's my prototype thing? It's funny how when you build stuff, all of a sudden it seems simpler. Base items don't matter yet. Inventory doesn't matter yet. Interactions. Can be E, can be F. Wieldables. Right. I really need to write these notes down proper. Okay, so prototype 1, what I have written down. Prototype 1 is a character controller that has movement and basic interaction. So I'm halfway there. I need a test environment that I can drive around in. Right, I'd rather have that be based on the terrain 3D. So, for P1, that. All of it. A test environment. With various heights and terrain for driving. So should what's prototype 2 inventory? Should be useful for E2 and then vehicle plus using vehicle. Like, it's not clear to me. I feel like anything you use your hands for directly should be left click. Right? Opening a door is left click. Sitting on a chair is E. Does that make sense? I'm working this out. Interactions. Using hand equals no, not equals. Yeah, equals, whatever. It's not programming, I'm just writing what I want. Who gives a shit? Using hand is left click. Using body is E. Like going to sleep on your bed. Maybe if there's like a computer that you can use, going into computer mode. I'd probably have you sit at your desk, so sitting on the chair enters you into computer mode. Right? Okay, car entry. is one. Use hand on door to open the door. 2. Use body on seat. Animation. Concurrent. And then seat 3. Remove. Disable. Movement. Controls. For animate. Player to seat. 5. Enable vehicle mode. AKA steering and pedals. My brain. I think next week, especially if I do some stuff in the middle, by next week we can have prototype 1 done. I feel like the biggest hurdles there are basic interaction, which isn't much of a hurdle at all, but I need to do it, and the vehicle. And for the vehicle, I haven't made up my mind either, because the Godot has a built-in vehicle system, but like, there's not that much information on it. It feels like a lot of people don't use it, that it has some limitations or issues. And I do have a plugin or example code of a different vehicle mechanism that might be more than sufficient for my needs. Okay. We're gonna start wrapping up here. I see. I don't know whether I've made progress. I've made a decision. I've made a decision on like which character controller we're gonna go with, which is good. That doesn't feel like a decision that should have taken 3 hours. But what can you do? I'm just like slowly entering this world again, you know? And it's not like I was very deep into that world ever in the first place. So I'm just getting used to looking at code, trying to see how it all works. A lot of this stuff is going to get a lot more complicated. Again, I need to learn so much to get this to where I want it to be. Like I'm not intimidated by it, but it is going to take a very long time. Obviously, the better I do financially, the more the YouTube stuff works, the more time I can put into this, the more I can learn. I'm having a good time doing it. I'm enjoying it. The momentum is still there. I don't feel dissuaded at all. It's just that what has always appealed to me about the idea of game development is that it is the art form that integrates so many different art forms. Like, most of this weekend I've spent world building. You know, I've come up with brands, legally distinct brands for all the vehicles that'll be in the game. Aruba is a very car-heavy culture, and the car that you start off with is going to be a very, like, you know, just like in My Summer Car or those other games, it's going to be like your baby. You know, it's going to have character, it's going to have things, so it needs a name. But also the other cars that are driving around, I want it to feel authentic while being legally distinct. So I spent so much time just coming up with, like, alternate names for very famous car marks. And what kind of phones were there in 2005 that would feel period appropriate, character appropriate, you know, those kinds of things. And I enjoy that a lot. And there's going to be things that I need to do that I will enjoy less, I suppose. I'm a little intimidated by the art aspect of it, by the visual. I've struggled in all the times I've tried to do these kinds of things. I've struggled with texturing, animating, modeling, you know. And as far as I'm concerned, those are just skills to learn. And it doesn't. I want it to look better than My Summer Car. My Summer Car has a very, very crude kind of like homemade look, very much on purpose. But I'm not gonna make it look like, you know, one of those indie games made by a studio of 10 extremely talented, well-funded people. I'm very limited by what I can do, both in terms of skills and in terms of time and resources and all those kinds of things. So I'm gonna have to make compromises. I have thought potentially a way to get over, like, some of the intricacies of NPCs and what have you, is instead of having 3D models of characters walking around, I have billboard sprites. I have, like, fucking 2D characters like in Doom that I just build and animate in Blender or whatever, but then render out into kind of like low resolution 2D sprites. It's a distinctive style. It's interesting. It could have its advantages, but that also still takes work. Those also still need to be animated. I just need to manage them less in engine. But I don't know if that's actually a look that, one, I can pull off, or two, I would like. Anyway. As usual, I'm gonna raid into Nervous on the YouTube side. Thank you all so much for hanging out and about with me. I should be back on Thursday with more, what's it called? A force more powerful. The game of non-violent strategy. I've been continuing to read the manual of this baby, and hopefully I'll be a little less out of my depth. I'm also gonna do like a mission that's like on easy mode or something. And I'll be filling this one out, and I'm working on a video. Don't expect it this month, expect it next month, but it should be fun. And thank you all for hanging out with me and choosing to spend your time watching me or listening to me or talking to me or helping me. I really appreciate it. The thing, you know, to put yourself on camera. Turns out not everybody does it. But what can I say? Today is the day.
Thank you for enjoying the BOBSTREAM. I love you all.